Fox News alert. Right now, America's military bases in the Middle East are on alert as U.S. defense plays a crucial role intercepting Iran's deadly missiles targeting our greatest ally in the Middle East, Israel.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth joins us now with the latest. Secretary, thank you for coming back.
Hey guys.
It's probably a little bit different being in that seat as opposed to this one, but in all seriousness, Americans are concerned. They see what's happening in Israel. They see what's happening with Iran. What's the latest you can tell us?
Well, I can assure you and the audience we're monitoring this in real time. The Defense Department has been tracking it at every level, and to include when it started and throughout. Had a meeting just this morning, and the president has been leading the way on setting the tempo of how we look at the region and ultimately recognize, a couple of days ago, Israel believed in its own self-defense. It needed to take action against nuclear capabilities and ballistic missiles, and we saw the response from Iran. We've seen that. The U.S. is postured to defend our people in the region. We've got significant assets in the region. We are robustly postured to ensure that our people, our bases, our interests are safe, and we're continuing to monitor any forces we would need to do that, capabilities we would need to do that. We will keep Americans safe, and you saw what Secretary Rubio said in his first statement opening. Ultimately, it should be clear to Iran that they should not turn their gaze to the United States. That would be a bad idea. And the president continues to message that he prefers peace. He prefers a solution to this that is resolved at the table. Iran still has an option for that, but Israel took what it believed it needed to do in self-defense strikes. And based on that first day, they were quite effective.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were encouraged by that conversation that Donald Trump had saying, hey, I'm still here available for negotiations. What do you know about that? Is he in communication with the Iranians directly in regards to that?
Well, the American people can be assured that President Trump is dialed in. This is not an autopen moment. We had that where the world saw our gaze distracted or not paying attention at all. President Trump is dialed in. I get to see it every single day. He knows every single dynamic of what's going on here. And I'll tell you what he's doing, Rachel. He's putting America first.
Good.
And you understand, hey, how many factors there are, how many dynamics there are in the world. But his directive to me and to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs and throughout our forces, hey, make sure you are robustly postured and prepared. And we are.
Has there been anything about the initial attack or the response that has surprised anybody in our government?
Obviously, we weren't, there's some things that we're not going to know about.
Right.
However, it was, in many ways, we understood what Iran's capabilities are. You understand, for the most part, what Israel's capabilities are. And so I wouldn't say there are any major surprises. That's our job, not to be completely caught off guard, to sort of understand the situation in front of us and then calibrate accordingly and provide maximum decision space to the President of the United States to keep America safe. So I wouldn't say we were really surprised by any dynamic of the back and forth that's been ongoing, but we're monitoring it closely.
The Israeli people have the Iron Dome, and we've seen it be very effective. There are a lot of U.S. troops in the region and other countries. Do we have the assets in the region now to protect our troops similarly?
No, Joey, that's our job. That's our sweet spot of what we're focused on. In fact, I was on Capitol Hill all week in hearings. You're familiar with that, Rachel. And one of the questions was asked is, hey, did you move some of your counter UAS, counter unmanned aerial systems defenses from Ukraine to the Middle East? To which I answered, yes, we did. We're using all assets available to protect our people in that region and around the world. Because it's a different landscape in defense these days.
Yeah.
Smaller systems like that can pose a big threat. We're as prepared as we can be.
Yeah, you got the whole idea of war is just changing right before our eyes. How this equipment versus the drones.
It's scary. It's scary. It really is. But we've got the right people on the job.
All right. Well, we're gonna move to this. Donald Trump on Friday afternoon said that the Iranians were hit 10 times worse than they thought they would be. They weren't ready to negotiate. I think they may be now. We'll see. Again, speaking, Pete, to that idea that, Donald Trump still giving peace a chance, still that peacetime president hopes to be.
Yeah, and he made it very clear, has continued to make it very clear to them that Iran should not pursue and will not get nuclear weapons. That is not in American interest, and certainly Israel believed it was a threat to them, and so Israel took action. As this back and forth continues, as I said, We're going to defend our folks. And the president is also making, and by the way, robustly and strongly. This is not some sort of a perspective where we're worried or concerned. We're vigilant. We're prepared in a strong defensive posture, while the president continues to say to Iran, hey, you have an option for peace. It includes, various aspects of what's been discussed. Iran knows. They know they can come back. They're making their own decisions right now, and we hope they would choose a negotiated option.
It's truly all you can ask for. Thank you.
Defense Secretary Hegseth, thank you so much for stopping by and speaking directly to the American people.